Hey there. Today I want to tell you the story of my two hospital births with my babies so that you can see what is sort of standard care here in the American hospital system for prenatal, labor and delivery, and postpartum, and so that you can take steps to try and have a similar positive experience or perhaps even a better one than what I had. So, uh, again, this is just to let you know what the American healthcare system is like for healthy pregnancies and deliveries. I had two of them. The first was in Japan, actually, but it was at the US Navy hospital at the Yokosuka Navy base with midwives. And the second was here in Washington State, just outside Seattle, again with a team of midwives. I gave birth to my second baby. And the way the prenatal care was laid out was monthly visits up until like 35 weeks, and then we shifted our visits to weekly checkups to make sure that the baby was continuing to grow well and to see if like labor and delivery was coming soon or not. Once my contractions started, we labored at home, my husband and I, for several hours before heading to the hospital. And at that point, we were moved to the like labor and delivery triage room to confirm whether I was really in labor or not, and then moved to a delivery room. And at that point, I met a whole pile of nurses I'd never met before and will likely never meet again, who looked after me and did like the fetal checks on the baby as contractions progressed. And when it was time, the midwife was called. She helped deliver the baby, and we were moved after my immediate recovery from childbirth, moved to like the recovery suites. For my second birth, I had told my midwife that I was thinking about maybe possibly catching my own baby. And so looking back on my second labor experience, I don't think she touched me, my midwife touched me at all until my baby was on my chest. And I'm not sure that that's what I meant, but I'm grateful for the experience, and I'm glad that she let me have that experience. So that's the work of the midwife at a hospital birth here in sort of the American system. So we stayed in the hospital. I stayed in the hospital for 2 more days, like 48 hours. That's pretty typical to recover. And lots more nurses came in to look after me. A pediatrician came to check on the baby a few times, and I met a lactation consultant who worked at the hospital to help me get started with breastfeeding both babies. And from that point on, we were sent home and asked to come back in just a few days with the baby to see that the baby was growing well. Shortly after that, we moved to like regular sort of bi-weekly and then monthly pediatrician visits. And at the 6-week mark, I saw my midwife again for the first time since delivering the baby. And that's the end of my postpartum aftercare in the American system. And it was adequate, medically speaking, but not enough for me as a person. The pediatrician visits that we had with my babies were the only connection that I had to my pregnancy and my birth experience, and I needed more time and space to sort of unpack what had happened and how I was transitioning to this new motherhood. But there's nowhere in the like American postpartum care context where you can do that. I wish I had seen my midwives like weekly after the birth to help unpack all of that, but that was not an option. So that was the extent of my care for prenatal, labor and delivery, and postpartum. In another video, I'll tell you what I didn't know then, but I do know now about other kinds of postpartum care that are available. But for now, will you leave me a comment on this video and let me know if my experience sounds similar to yours? If you're planning on a hospital birth or perhaps a home birth, or if you've got a C-section planned, what's that going to look like, and does that feel good to you? I'd love to hear your story and connect with you that way. That's all for now. See you next time.